Thank you all for being here and giving us the opportunity to speak. My name is Doug Rand. I am a former biologist and entrepreneur. Now I think of myself as hopefully a public entrepreneur. Pretty new in the administration. I work at the White House Office of Science and Technology. I've been working it has really felt like startup mode for the last several months to help launch this new White House-led initiative called Startup America, which was launched officially a couple of weeks ago. So let me tell you what Startup America is, what it's not, before we open it up to questions, and what it could be. Startup America is a White House-led initiative, all hands on deck, to dramatically increase the prevalence and success rate of high-growth entrepreneurs across the country. It involves a whole range of federal agencies, and it also involves the private sector, which I'll get to in a second. A couple of things that I want to clarify right off the bat. By Startup America, we're not just talking about tech companies. That's a little shout out to Scott Gerber. We're not just talking about tech hubs. We're talking about companies with potential to grow all in regions across the country. And I should also say, high growth doesn't necessarily mean venture-backed, IPO-bound. The fact of the matter is, it's probably not news to anybody here. The number of entrepreneurs are, sorry, let me back up. The percentage of the working age population in this country that is starting a company and expects to create 20 jobs within the next 5 years. That's not hyper-growth. That percentage is 1.5%. It's been pretty steady for a long time. Having thousands and thousands of companies creating 20 jobs in 5 years is incredibly valuable. That's where the Kaufman statistics are coming from. It's not just the billion-dollar companies, it's also all the companies creating 20 jobs in 5 years that are the reason that an incredibly disproportionate amount of job creation, net job creation in this country, is coming from young companies. We also know that an incredibly disproportionate amount of innovation is coming from young companies, not just from tech transfer, but service innovation as well. So it's a huge national priority. When we're talking about winning the future, we're talking about out-innovating our competitors, that supporting high-growth potential companies is key to job creation, competitiveness, and innovation. So that's why Startup America is geared towards high-growth companies or high-growth potential companies all across the country. I also want to say that all the policies that we unveiled in the last couple of weeks that involved all of the agencies sitting here and many more. This is just the beginning. You're going to see a pipeline of new policies and new initiatives from throughout the administration to address all of the issues that our moderator talked about, increasing access to capital for entrepreneurs, increasing access to mentorship, reducing regulatory barriers, and for the tech side, accelerating the transition of innovations from lab to marketplace. Now, real quick, I just want to say, Jonathan from Kaufman Foundation said earlier, it's important to have a strategy, not a plan. And I actually think that the Startup America initiative fits that quite nicely. There is no central plan here. There is no master plan of there shall be this many startups in this region, this many startups in that region. It's a strategy. And the strategy is raise the profile of the importance of entrepreneurs in this country for all the reasons we just talked about. Get all the agencies lined up behind this mission to dramatically increase not only the number of people choosing to become entrepreneurs, but their success rate having started companies around the areas we talked about. And then make a bold call to action, which the President has made several times and will continue to the private sector, to say government cannot possibly do this alone. There are already an enormous number of people in the private sector, I mean that in the broadest sense, foundations, nonprofits, corporations, and universities and community colleges, already developing phenomenally effective models. How do we scale those up? And by I'm not talking about government giving money, although that happens. It's really, how can the private sector, acting together, respond to the President's call to action to do more than business as usual, to drive more resources, not taxpayer dollars, but more private sector resources into the models that we know work, so that we're together growing more effective entrepreneurial ecosystems all across the country, at universities, in more regions, and creating more collaborations between corporations and entrepreneurs. And I could go on and on. And hopefully some of the questions that people ask will draw that out. But again, just to hit the high notes again, what the Startup America initiative is all about, and you're going to keep hearing about it because we're going to keep doing events to highlight it all across the country, is two tracks. There's what should the government be doing more and less of, so the policy track, and also the private sector track. So independent of government, acting in parallel, and this is all bully pulpit stuff. What can more organizations like yours do, what can we do to shine a light on what you're doing and help catalyze your ability to do it more effectively. So thanks for your time.
All right. Start with questions.
Here.
Why don't we...
I have the mic over here, so if you receive the mic, then you can ask the question. And I'm just going to go across maybe.
My name is Thor Misko. I'm with Project Lead the Way, which is a not-for-profit design engineering biomedical science group. So the design with us, and one of the things that I know everyone here has their own networks and people that we can work with, but what can we do, especially, we have 350,000 students across the country in all 50 states. In DC, I have 4,000 schools, 16,000 teachers. We have this great network that we can leverage and we can talk with and we can do things to help support the efforts that you're working on, the efforts that everyone else is working on. And I know we all have the same, different reaches, different networks, but let's get them together, let's get them working together. So what can we do, and not just Project Lead the Way, but anybody, to help you with these initiatives? Because obviously they're important for my prospects, because I want to make sure that those students have a pipeline in that pathway.
It's a great question.
Everyone I work with is a huge fan of Project Lead the Way. I had the good fortune of going to your conference in DC a couple of months ago, and it was, for those of you who don't know about Project Lead the Way, definitely, what's the website?
PLTW.org.
PLTW.org. It's an incredibly successful model that's teaching engineering design principles, really practical skills, and life-changing experiences for middle and high school across the country, and an enormous number of schools across the country. So here's what I would say. You're already going great guns. Part of the private sector track I was talking about is to create that network of networks, to create that platform so that independent of any government regulations or any central planning, programs like Project Lead the Way can get together with other successful models and share best practices. Maybe you need more resources to scale. Maybe there's foundations out there that you don't know about yet. So let me just take an example. We have this incredible panel with foundations just earlier today. And, hopefully none of these foundations were strangers to anyone in this room who cares about entrepreneurship. Kauffman Foundation is here, Coleman, Deshpande, there's a ton of foundations here. But frankly, most of the major funders of entrepreneurial ecosystems are in this room right now. It's not an enormous number. There's a lot of philanthropic dollars, on the table, and a lot of foundations that could stand to hear the message that, promoting entrepreneurship is an incredibly effective way of promoting economic development. So that's just one example of how this new partnership called the Startup America Partnership, which stands independent of government, which is inspired by the president, but not subject to any sort of government fiat. It's chaired by Steve Case, co-founder of AOL. Carl Schramm, the CEO of the Kauffman Foundation, is a founding board member. They just announced their CEO yesterday. They're moving incredibly fast. So 2 weeks after the launch, they announced their CEO, who's a co-founder of Priceline, not the co-founder of Priceline we heard from earlier today, but an equally impressive co-founder of Priceline, and an experienced CEO of a public-private partnership named Scott Case. And they're going to be building out their board, and they're going to be creating that network, which hopefully will serve to do exactly what you're talking about, which is to say, let's bring together everyone from the entire entrepreneurial ecosystem, whether it's people working in entrepreneurship education, whether it's corporations that are way out ahead creating collaborations with entrepreneurs, whether it's foundations that are way out ahead, universities that have really nailed that entrepreneurial culture, and or organizations that are making entrepreneurship more inclusive. Let's get them together. They're going to be convening a gigantic entrepreneurial action summit, the likes of which the world has never seen, in 2011. Hopefully they'll be having some kind of a demo day where organizations like yours can pitch to funders that are a wider sphere than maybe you've heard about before, and yeah, let's accelerate the great trend that's already happened.
Great. Anyone else want to weigh in on how people in this room can help you? Judy, tell us how the people in this room can help you spread the message about entrepreneurship and innovative programs that you're doing.
I appreciate very much your point, and when you mentioned about engineering, one of the main emphasis of this administration is renewable energy. And so I'm believing that the brain power is going to be coming from organizations such as yourself and persons who will be innovating. That is very much the emphasis of this administration, and we are seeking now projects, new methods for renewable energy. That is something that my organization finances. And what we've been seeing at this point in time has been that most of the innovation that has been coming our way has been, frankly, developed in other countries. So be it. Therefore, we learn from that and partner and bring some of those ideas into this country, because frankly, this is a wide open space. And we are experiencing this right now when we see biorefineries, the various methods for how to make new biofuels. And also, what we believe is that rural America will have a large responsibility for this, because so many of these facilities will be built in rural areas.
Thank you. Ellen?
I would just add that we can't reach all of you. It's probably easier to reach us. And I know we talked about perception and education. And I would think that one of the roles of government is not so much a provision, but a partnership. And that at SBA, what we want to do is be a nexus for information, both coming in and going out. And we have so much of what we develop in the form of deliverables or policy is community-based driven. And so working with SCORE, which is community-based, one of the foremost mentoring organizations in the country for 40 years, small business development centers, women's business centers, our district offices, we not only provide service, but we build what we provide based on what we hear. So we've just done a brand new website, www.sba.gov. It's much more user-friendly, it drills down. I would hope that people would access it, spread the news that we're there as a partner, and then let us know what you need.